My boss accidentally sent me her Christmas wish, and she said, "Do you want to make it come true?" The message popped up at 11:47 p.m., just as I was about to put my phone down and pretend Christmas Eve wasn't happening. I wish I could wake up tomorrow and not feel so alone. For a second, I thought it was spam. Or a text meant for someone else entirely. Then I saw the name at the top of the screen. Linda, CEO. My boss. The woman who ran board meetings like military operations. The woman who never missed a deadline, never forgot a number, never showed cracks. The woman who once told me, kindly but firmly, that emotions had no place in quarterly reports. My heart started pounding. I reread the message 3 times, hoping I was wrong. Before I could even think of replying, another message came through. "Oh my God. Please ignore that. That was not meant for you." I stared at the typing bubble, blinking on and off like it was unsure whether to exist. Then one more message. "I'm so sorry. That was supposed to go somewhere else." I could have done the sensible thing. I could have replied with a polite "No worries, Merry Christmas," and gone back to my quiet apartment, my microwave dinner, my carefully curated loneliness. But instead, I typed the words without fully understanding why. "Do you want to talk about it?" There was a long pause. Long enough for me to regret everything. Finally, her reply appeared. "I shouldn't. You're my employee." Then, almost immediately. "But yes. I do." I'd worked under Linda for 3 years. She was respected, admired, and quietly feared. People assumed she had it all: corner office, tailored suits, confidence that could silence a room. What most of us didn't know was that she spent Christmas Eve alone in a house that felt too big since her divorce, with decorations still in boxes because it felt pointless to put them up for one person. She told me this in pieces. Through texts at first, then through a phone call she apologized for starting. "I didn't mean to send that wish," she said, her voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "I was writing it down, just for myself." "A wish?" I asked. "I promised myself I'd stop wishing for promotions, achievements, things I can control," she said quietly. "This year, I wished for something honest." There was a lump in my throat I didn't expect. "I don't need gifts," she continued. "I don't need sympathy. I just don't want to feel invisible tomorrow." I looked around my apartment. The empty chair across from me. The unopened card from my parents overseas. The snow falling quietly outside my window. "I know that feeling," I said. Silence hung between us, heavy but not uncomfortable. Then she laughed, soft, embarrassed. "This is incredibly inappropriate, isn't it?" "Probably," I said. "But it's also Christmas Eve." Another pause. Then she said the sentence that changed everything. "So, do you want to make it come true?" We agreed on something simple. No expectations. No awkward explanations. Just kindness. The next morning, I stood outside her house with a paper bag of pastries from a bakery that reminded me of home and a thermos of coffee I wasn't even sure she liked. I almost turned back twice. When the door opened, Linda wasn't wearing a power suit or heels. She wore a soft sweater, hair loosely tied back, eyes slightly red, like she hadn't slept much. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she smiled. Not her professional smile. A real one. "You came," she said. "Of course," I replied. "You asked." Inside, the house was quiet but warm. Sunlight filtered through undecorated windows. There was no Christmas music, no tree, no pressure to perform joy. We cooked breakfast together, awkward at first, then easier. We talked about childhood traditions, about how adulthood had a way of shrinking holidays if you let it. She told me about her mother, who used to insist that kindness counted more than celebration. At one point, she stopped mid-sentence and looked at me. You know, she said, I've spent years thinking strength meant not needing anyone. I nodded. I thought the same. Turns out it just meant being tired all the time. She laughed, then grew quiet. I almost didn't send that wish, she admitted. And now I'm glad I did. Even accidentally. The emotional shift was subtle but powerful. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't dramatic. It was human. Later, we drove to a local shelter with extra food and blankets she'd kept meaning to donate. We didn't tell anyone who we were. We didn't take photos. We just listened. On the drive back, she wiped her eyes and said, I keep thinking success would feel fuller than this. This? I asked. This feeling, she said. Of being useful. Present. That evening, as the sky turned soft and pink, we sat on her porch with mugs of tea, watching the neighborhood lights flicker on. I don't feel alone today, she said quietly. Neither did I. There was no grand confession. No dramatic promise of the future. Just an understanding that kindness, especially the unexpected kind, has a way of changing people. Before I left, she stopped me at the door. Thank you, she said. Not as your boss. As a person. I smiled. Merry Christmas, Linda. Merry Christmas, she replied. And, thank you for making my wish come true. As I drove home, I realized something. Sometimes, the most powerful gifts aren't wrapped. They're sent by accident. And answered on purpose. And sometimes, all it takes to change a life, even your own, is choosing compassion when silence would have been easier.